Hey guys, what's up? So today we're gonna learn about async await in JavaScript. I know you guys have been requesting this topic for a long time, and it's such a complex topic that I was really confused how to really represent it. And so finally I come up with the best example so that you would understand it, easily. So what we are going to look at is how async await works. What is the real purpose of async await? Which problem it solves that you cannot solve with promises or callbacks? How to do error handling? What's the browser support? Can you do all the things that you can do with promises and async await? So we're gonna look at all of that. And welcome to Texture Tutorial. All right, so what is async await really means? As the name suggests, when there is async, you need to wait. Why do we need to wait? Because JavaScript is non-blocking. So by default, it doesn't wait for async. So let me give you an interesting example for that. If you go to watch a movie and there's like two people ahead of you, they have the tickets ready. So you go to the ticket checker, he says, okay, you have it. They let them in. But when time comes for you, you're gonna be like, okay, I don't have my ticket with me. My wife is bringing, she's on her way. She'll be here any second. So can we just wait? And the ticket checker say, no, I can't do that. There's a line behind you, so you need to step aside, sir. And when she comes back, you can get in the line. That's how JavaScript actually behaves. If something needs to wait, it will make you wait on the side. But there are cases where you want to say, okay, you know what? I want you to wait. That's how async await works. But let's look at an example where we don't use async await, and then we can improve that example using async await. So we're going to build this queue, the movie theater queue here, without async await, and then see how it works. Okay. So here, person 1 shows a ticket. Then comes, he will show his ticket. Person 3, which is, let's say me, I don't have the ticket, so I'll make a promise to the guy. And the promise is, we're gonna call it promise wife bringing tickets. Okay, this is my promise. And we can do a new promise. And this promise will take 2 arguments. Well, it will take a callback function, and it will take 2 argument, resolve and reject. Right? And inside we can simply do resolve it. So for now, wife is bringing the ticket. So we're just gonna wait a few seconds. We're gonna say set timeout. And the way the set timeout works is you need to provide a function that will execute after a certain amount of time. Let's say 3 seconds, which is 3000 milliseconds. And we are going to simply resolve ticket, right? Which means I got the ticket. So let's look at it. So you have a promise. So basically wife will bring the ticket in 3 seconds. I mean, usually it takes way longer time, but since we can't wait that long, we're gonna keep 3 seconds, okay? And this is just a definition of the promise. We really have to, when the promise really resolves, when she has a ticket, then this function would get called and there will be tickets. And we can simply say, we can just console log this here. Instead of person 2, we can call it person 3 here, and we can use a template string. And instead of ticket, we can interpolate this ticket here. So now, when she brings a ticket, we'll show the ticket, right? And then, let's say after that person, there are a few more people, and person 5 shows a ticket. All right, let's run this and see what really happens. So as you can see here, the person 1 shows a ticket, person 2 shows a ticket. Then 3, because it's a promise, it doesn't wait. I let the person 4 in and 5 in. And then person 3's wife comes back with a ticket, it will show the ticket, right? So this is how it doesn't wait for anything that is async. But in this case, we don't want to wait anyway. We want to let the person 4 and 5 go ahead of person 3, because if we block it, then everything else, the queue would basically stop, and it's not a good idea. Okay, So what are the cases where you want to have async await? All right, so now let's modify this to make it a little bit more critical. So now she brings a ticket to you. That doesn't mean you can just go in directly because she is hungry. She wants to eat something, right? So even though she brought the ticket, now you have to go get some food. So you make her a new promise that you're gonna get some popcorn. So let's do that. So inside this then function, we are not going to simply say console log, show the ticket. We're gonna make another promise called get popcorn. Get popcorn equal to, and we're gonna return a promise here. Husband is saying we should go in. Wife is saying no, I am hungry. So now he cannot go in, so he has to make a promise. So he will return a new promise. So here we're gonna have also resolve reject, and then it's simply going to say, all right, let's resolve in one line. Now let's run this. So when the husband gets a popcorn, so popcorn, then you get the status back from the resolve, and so you would simply say console log t, right? So let's run it now, see what happens. All right, so the answer is first person 1 walks in, 2 walks in, 4 and 5, 3 doesn't walk in, and then the tickets arrive. So the husband say we should go in. Wife says no, I'm hungry. So then husband basically gets a popcorn, and they walk in with ticket and popcorn. Okay, but it's not done yet. Now wife says, okay, I need some butter on the popcorn. So we're gonna have to make another promise. So let's quickly make another promise. And husband this time say we should go in, and wife says I need butter on my popcorn. All right, butter, and this would be const get butter. All right, so we have another promise, get butter, but it only happens after you get the ticket, you get the popcorn, and then you have butter, right? You can't have butter without popcorn. All right, I think that's about it. So now let's resolve this. So we'd say get butter dot then, and simply you would whatever the resolution is, you would just simply print this console dot log and t. All right. Well, actually, one thing we need to add is once we get the ticket, so the wife would say here's the ticket. I have the tickets. And then once you get the popcorn, the husband would say, I got some popcorn. All right. All right, let's see now what happens. All right, so person 1, 2, 4, 5 goes in. Wife says, I have the tickets. When she arrives, husband says we should go in. Wife says, no, I am hungry. Husband say, okay, I got some popcorn. We should go in. Wife says, no, I need some butter. And then he gets a butter, and then we have ticket, popcorn, and butter. So everything is fine, but now this looks so ugly. Okay. And all the statements here inside the console log, that should only happen after you get the tickets. This console log should only happen after I get the popcorn. So I cannot really put them in between. Otherwise, you would get them before even you get them. Looks very ugly. So we can fix it with async await. All right, so what we're gonna do, instead of this mess, I'm just gonna create another fiddle. So after person 1 and between person 1, 2, and 4, everything that we did, getting the ticket, getting the popcorn, and adding the butter, I'm going to put into a separate function, because we already know that those things needs to happen one by one, right? They need to wait. So we can use that information and then create an async function. We're gonna call it pre-movie. I couldn't come up with a better name, so we're gonna call it pre-movie. And it's a function, right? And the way async works is any function, if you put just async in front of it, it becomes an async function. All right. So we're gonna execute it, and let's put some message here. Unlike a regular function, async function always returns a promise. So when I execute this function, it returns a promise, and you can know when the promise finish using then, as we already know that. So I'm just gonna say then. Well, here I should just return this and not the console log. And here I would get this argument here. So I'm just gonna say message, and I'm just going to console log that message here. Okay, so let's understand that there is a async function. This is actually async function expression because I'm saving in a variable. Okay, that's why it's a function expression, and it returns this text called pre-movie. And inside because the async function returns a promise, I have to use then to actually execute it and then wait for it to finish. Here it execute right away, right? Because I don't have any delay or anything, right? And it would bring that console log here. So now if I run this, all right, so when I run this, I would say person 1, 2, 4, 5, and then I get the pre-movie. So obviously this happens at the line. That's how we want it. But within this async function, we don't want anything to wait. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna move things into this async function one by one, okay? And then make it so nice and clean. Inside the async function, you can tell the promise execution and then wait for the next execution to happen. So the way it works is you would use this promise, and then I would use await in front. That is it. And whatever it resolves it, I can get it here. So I'm going to say let ticket equal to this. So I would get this ticket back here. Okay. And remember, await function, you only can use it inside an async function. Otherwise, it would not work. You cannot use it in a regular function. Okay. You can only use it inside of async function body. And I can simply here return the ticket. So now let's run this. All right, so 1, 2, 4, 5 people, and then I get the ticket. Okay, so now because I'm using await, so if I put any console log after this, it won't execute right away. It has to wait for this to finish before it executes that console log. So remember, before we used to have something like this, right? But that y has a ticket. So I can bring those things out. So I'll do that. And then the promise, I can actually define. And this time I don't really need to do this then. Remember, I don't have to use then, so it will be simply get popcorn is a new promise. So I can actually put it in one line like this. And then if I want to call this get popcorn, I would simply use another await function. So I would say let popcorn equal to await, and await get popcorn. And I don't really need to use a then, as you can see here. And so this would give me the popcorn here. Then the next thing I would need to do is these statements. And since this would wait till I get the popcorn, I can just console log these here. And then my next promise is going to be add the butter, right? So I can also just copy it here, and this would give me butter. This would give me butter, and I can just do this here, so I can simply use string interpolation. So for the popcorn, this would be for, if you don't know what the string interpolation is, I have a tutorial on it. I'll provide a link here. All right, so and then once we added the butter, we can say, husband would say, I got some butter, and the husband says, anything else, darling? Wife says, let's go, we are getting late. And husband says, thank you for the reminder. And then he grins. Basically makes a face. All right, so now we have everything, and the next thing we want to do is, now remember the whole async function returns a promise, which is nothing but the ticket. So we can, here we can also do string interpolation. So this would say 3 shows $sign and thing. We're gonna get the ticket back here, right? So all right, so we have person 1, 2, 4, 5 going in. Then wife says, I have the tickets. Husband says, oh, we should go in. Wife says, no, I'm hungry. Husband says, I got some popcorn. Husband says, we should go in. Wife says, no, I need the butter in my popcorn. Then husband says, oh, I got some butter on the popcorn. Anything else, darling? Wife says, oh, let's go, we're getting late. Husband says, thank you for the reminder. I've been telling you this for a long time. And then they show the ticket and they finally enter the theater. So look, all of this looks kind of meaningful, right? Because you can do things. This looks like a synchronous code in an asynchronous world because it waits, right? And that's the beauty of it. And it's readable. It makes sense when you read it and you understand what's exactly going on, rather than this code where you have to really understand, oh, this is a promise here, this resolving here, this is a promise here, this gets resolved here. Now, after they get the tickets, they're getting popcorn and then the butter, because it's kind of interdependent, right? But what if you want to get 3 different things? They're not dependent on each other. So let's say get popcorn, and then instead of adding butter, we can say get candy. All right, and we might want to get some Coke. So I'm just gonna say get, and you return the Coke, right? So we have 3 separate promises. Okay, so after getting the tickets, let's remove all the console logs. Instead of getting things one by one, what if you want to get resolve the whole thing when everything is done, right? Because husband could be getting the popcorn, wife could be getting the candy and the Coke. So we don't have to wait for one thing to finish. And when we get everything, then we resolve it, right? So here, instead of getting popcorn, we would simply say await promise dot all, and instead we'll provide an array of all the promises that we want to resolve, right? So we would have first get popcorn, then get candy, and get Coke. Here the order doesn't matter because you could be doing things in parallel. Because you have three things, it returns three items, right? Popcorn, candy, and Coke here, right? And in the end, I can write console log with all three items. So I would say dollar, candy, Coke. All right. All right. So now person 1, 2, 4, 5, then you get popcorn, candy, and Coke, and then you get person 3 shows a ticket. So, all right. Now, what about the error handling? Usually in the promise, you would say resolve and reject, and then, you can have a catch for the reject, and then, you can write the error message or whatever comes back from the server, right, as an error. So how do you deal with that here? Because you cannot now use it because these are not regular promises that you're calling. You're just calling here, await, and right? Now, if error happens on this line, let's say wife never comes back with the ticket, and after 1 hour, husband says, okay, I need to reject it because I can't go to the movie, right? So we can simply use the good old try catch. So we would simply do this, try, and put the ticket here, catch. Usually I can do something else, but I'm just gonna say ticket equal to, let's call it sad face because I can't watch the movie. But I cannot use two lets here, so what I'll do here is define the let up here, define the ticket up here, and then assign the value here. Okay, so right now it's resolving, but instead you can reject it here to see if it works, right? So person 1, 2, 4, 5 shows a ticket, and the person 3 shows a sad face. So this is how you deal with the errors. One of the practical example that I often use async await is testing. All right, so let's remove all this stuff here, and I'll quickly show you how to do it. So instead of pre-movie, I am, let's say, testing some user form or something. Okay, and in order to test it, I have to first load the user form. Let's say this is maybe end-to-end test, right? So I need to first load user form, right? Until I load the page, I cannot really click on anything. So which returns a promise, let's say, page loaded. After that, I can write another promise where now I can click on something. So, or let's say I enter user name. It just basically returns, well, this should be resolved. And it says user entered. Okay. And then I have some function, basically, let's say const verify user details. Okay. It will equal to some function. And basically what it does is it goes and checks now the user profile is loaded. Since I load the user and then the page and then enter the user, and maybe I'm clicking on a button or something. Okay, next. And then it loads the user profile. So now I can check if the profile is loaded or not by using some sort of selector, right? So here I would simply do await load user form. Then once it's loaded, I can say await enter username, and then I can verify the user detail. Okay, for that I don't need to await because that's the last thing. But this won't happen until these two are, because they are awaits, right? And I don't need to return any ticket. And then this would be show the results. Okay, something like that. But as you can see, it looks so neat. You can say load the form, enter the name, and verify the detail. It makes sense. There's no nested things going on here. And so things look asynchronous, not. And by the way, if you want to know more about other JavaScript tutorial, I have tons of JavaScript tutorial, basic to advanced. So one of these playlists is an advanced JavaScript. This is a cool tutorial on promises. If you know what we covered today about the promises, if you want to know about the how promises work, you can do it here. And I have tons of tutorials, including a lot of JavaScript interview questions. I guess I have almost like a 50 or so tutorials on JavaScript, but feel free to check it out. It might be very helpful to you. And I hope you learned something from this tutorial. And if you did, please like, subscribe, and provide a nice comment. You can also help the channel via Patreon. And I also want to give a quick shout out to people who pledged on my Patreon. So James Garloff, David Kick, and Harry Kawan. Thank you for your donation. You can follow me on the Twitter. My Twitter handle is down here, Texit1. And you can also help me translate the video. It's very easy to your native language, so that your countrymen can also learn something from this. I'll provide a link in the description so you can check it out. And thank you.